streaming for Friday as day of the week before the weekend, and I'm so thankful we've been able to go online live streaming our show every single day for this week. Well, except for Monday, which is holiday, and Thanksgiving. We're on for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Today's Friday, and I hope you enjoy your weekend. I know we're gonna have a productive weekend. Well, a relaxing weekend is what I should say. So welcome to the show, the Qualified Life. Qualified Life Daily Live Stream Talk Show. My name is Sean, and today we want to continue with the conversation we had yesterday about the designed life, about authoring our future, writing our life, writing out our life and making it happen, and developing intelligence for the digital age and how to play on the digital platform. Right, so these three things. Today today I wanna really focus on a significant thing, because a lot of us, 7.8 billion people on the planet, and a lot of us we just exist. You know, we exist at a certain level throughout our lives. Of course, it's never a flat line. Maybe it would be good if it was, because then things would be constant. But it's like up and down. But it basically is a wave, like the top of an ocean. It doesn't go up or down, right? Our life is kind of like that. It's stable, might be the word to use, but I mean the average human being on the planet, right? And today we want to look at if this is a desirable thing, if this way of life of keeping a constant, if it's really how we want to be and to live. And so we'll delve into it as the show goes along. Let me just double check and make sure everything is on track in terms of sound and those things. The thing with live streaming is okay. Thank you, Mano. I appreciate it. Yes, that's great. The thing with live streaming, it's a new. Well, it's not new, but it's now emerging as a mass media platform globally, and I think this is like I was saying yesterday, this is the future of media, right? And so we're moving. We have been as a journalist myself, and I'm a media entrepreneur, so I've been in the newspaper business, and of course television and websites, of course online media throughout the years. But mass media is changing, so the print industry is on a decline. Newspapers, magazines, they're all pushing now for digital presence with subscription and how to attract readers. And even television stations, they are seeing a huge decline in viewership as Netflix and even Tubi and Amazon Prime and all these exciting online media platforms take off, including online newspapers like Huffington Post and but live streaming is becoming the new platform, the new way of doing things. And we are setting out to build our company, our media division, because we have a technology division, we have a publishing division, but our technology division, we have a technology division as well, but our media division, we're setting out to really push it out as a mass media operation, using this new way of doing mass media, which is live streaming online globally, right? Oh, let me check to make sure everything is working fine. The guys who are watching, could you send me a quick message? Let me know the sound and everything is okay. I appreciate it. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. Let me just make sure our technology is, because that's the thing with live streaming. Yeah, okay, we're good. I think we're good. The thing with live streaming, any new technology, there is a learning period and a time of putting things together and making sure everything is working, with at least efficiency and competency. So we want to talk today about an important factor of why we're setting out to do what we're doing. Not only are we setting out to grow this hourly show that is going on every day now. From this week we started doing it every day. The show started last year, but from this week we're doing it every single day, and I'm so happy like to be able to do this every day. For me, I'm not a person of discipline and structure. I'm a creative person, and so to have to do this every single day, which is a commitment I made to the public, to you, to my viewers, and to the people in my company. It's good to keep me on my toes in terms of productivity. But today we want to look at an important thing. Why is it we want to go out there? Yesterday we talked about self-care, and we talked about self-development and self-mastery, and this whole week we were talking about how do we go about writing our life, authoring our future. The word author is important. It comes from the word authority, or the same word that is actually applied to politics and power. We have authority or power. We're the politician of our lives. We are the ones in charge of our lives. We're the president, prime minister, the king, the queen of our life. And so we can author our life, our future. This is an idea that we want to constantly reinforce until we actually get it. That it becomes enlightenment with us. It becomes an epiphany. It becomes the belief system that I am living to author my life, to write my life, like it's a blank sheet of paper. Think of life as a blank sheet of paper. I can write a song on it, I can write a poem on it, I can write an essay on it, I can write a paragraph on it. I can take that blank sheet of paper and turn it into magic, turn it into something really, really beautiful, like people do with books, like people do with paintings on an empty canvas, like people do with music, right? Turning empty silence into beautiful sound. And so, authoring our future is something we're going to spend a whole show on it next week, one day, talking about what it means to be an author of your future, or author of our future, where you can author your own future. And then of course we talk about the designed life, and these things I keep talking about over and over and over until it becomes not only in the subconscious but in the conscious mind, that you're walking around thinking about it. You wake up, we sleep, we're constantly thinking, I'm living a designed life, right? And then of course intelligence for the digital age. Our platform today, in the world that we live in today, is the digital platform. It's the digital world, it's virtual space. And so we want to develop intelligence on how we, just as many people are doing around the world, can play on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all these places in a way that life becomes not a survival, but a scaling up. And that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about why is it we're doing the show? Why is it we set out with a philosophy that we believe life is more than just existing. Life is more than just waking up in the day and going to work, which used to be so for the past 100 years in the industrial age, and even more so before the industrial age, back in the agricultural age, in the feudal age. People had no choice, right? Well, I mean, they had choice, they could still educate themselves and stuff, but the masses didn't really have a choice. If my microphone is picking up, there's a police siren going off in the street. But anyway, there you go for society. I want to really come into this place where we examine if life is okay if we just move along like the tides on the ocean. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go well. I mean, the tides just rise and fall. You know what I mean? We live a constant life like this. Do we want to do that, or do we want to scale, go up, right? Of course, some people who fall through the cracks, their life go down, right? The curve goes down instead of staying stagnant. At least people who stay stagnant, they're not stagnant, but constant. They at least, they're living, they're existing, they're paying their bills, and they're, relatively, maybe happy is not the word, but you know what I mean, they're at peace. We want to examine what kind of life do we want. Do we want a life that, we don't want the life to be going down. Obviously, the curve should not be going down. The curve should be at least going up or staying stable, right? But a lot of people, of the 7.8 billion people on the face of the earth, a lot of them are, life is, especially the middle class, a lot of politicians wealthy. They become a little bit richer and richer with real estate and investments and all those things. Or the poor actually, most of them stay poor or their poverty is rising slowly. My point is there is a constancy in society. And do we want to live on that line of constancy or do we want to scale our life up? So this company, this show, what we're setting out to do is work with one set of people with a certain mindset, the people who have a certain intention of how they want to live their life. That's the kind of people we want to work with. We want to work with people who are hungry. When you see your life as a blank page and you want to make something out of it, or you see your life as a page that is filled with scratches and bad stuff and things that happened in the past, and a lot of drama and a lot of toxic stuff. And we want to be able to be a place where people can come and erase that and start fresh, write a new future, author a new future, design a new life, create you and reinvent you, and intelligently play on the digital platform that is the internet in the 21st century. So one of the first questions we have to ask ourselves is this: where do I want my life to be going? Because life, one of the main characteristics of life is that it's not stagnant. Life moves, there is movement. What in biology, I remember in high school they said one of the characteristics of life is locomotion. And I had to find out what locomotion is. It's movement, right? Something that is moving is life, which makes me wonder if robots would have a kind of life in them because they move. But anyway, my point is, life is about movement. It's not about stagnant. We're not stones that stay there and don't move, or a piece of wood or something. We're dynamic. We love to move. And so, what we want to ask ourselves, one of the first questions in self-development, in being able to live the kind of life that we imagine is possible, that we desire, is where do I want to move to? Where do I want to go? Do I want to go back in time? Do I want to go back into how my generations lived? Do I want to stay where I am and maybe exist in society as it is, especially Canadian and Americans and Europeans and even Chinese now and the Indians and Africans, places that are becoming wealthy? Do we want to stay in this present moment, like how history is right now? Or, so we don't want to, well, maybe some people would like to go back and live the way their ancient forefathers lived in religion and culture and nationalities and stuff, and ethnicity as well. Or some people would enjoy life as it is and say, I'm happy as I am. I don't need to grow. I don't need to go back. I'm happy how I am, which is legitimate. That's fine. And then, of course, there's the third way, which is, do we go forward? Do we advance into the future? If that's what we want, then we're talking to you. We're talking to the people who want to advance into the future, not the people who are harking back to tradition and culture and nationalities and how things were done in the past. We don't, that's not us. We are talking to people who want even not to live in the present world, because things have to improve, and the word improvement is important. We want to talk about the word improvement. We want to constantly improve, and improve is not the word is grow, the word is scale, the word is develop. We want to be developing, and so the essence of developing is moving forward, is moving into the future, and that's what we want to talk about today. So we humans live on three levels, one of three levels. Generally speaking, not like individually, right? Generally speaking, some people are barely surviving. There are people in this world, especially the poor, but also some people who are disabled, mentally challenged, hundreds of millions of human beings on this earth, billions in fact, are just surviving. People are born on this earth, and they need certain basic necessities to exist, which Adam Smith dealt with in his book Wealth of Nations, like food, water, shelter, recreation, I think is one. 6 basic needs. And once those 6 basic needs are met, the human being can survive, but just survive. So there are billions of people definitely hundreds of millions of people in our world today, this 21st century, who are barely surviving. And even if they're not barely surviving, they're surviving. We used to have a concept of the third world. The third world was a place of survival. People just barely survived. We you know, in the before technology really took off and improved gross poverty and hunger across the world, people are just surviving. And even now, in many places, in a city, even in American Canada, with the opioid crisis, in places like Skid Row, California, in places in Toronto and different places around the world, people are barely surviving. They're living on the street. They're not even surviving. They've crashed and gone through, and they're broken. But we're talking about the ones in society, the human beings in society, who you look on the street and they're okay, they're going about their lives, but a lot of people are barely surviving. Do we want to be in that crowd of barely surviving? And do we even want to, how can we help those who are barely surviving? We got to set out to help them. And the second level of people in the world today are those who sustain themselves. So you move from a place of just surviving, depending on a job, depending on the government, depending on handouts, depending on help from people, and to survive. And then you move to a place of self-sufficiency, which is a job, and you're paying your bills and you're enjoying life as a member of society, because you're sustaining yourself at a certain level. So you have a job, you have a car, you have a house, you're doing things, and you're sustaining yourself. And a lot of this is what they may call the middle class. So the working class might be the survival people, the people who are surviving, and then the middle class would be those who are sustaining themselves. And they buy a nice TV, they have a nice car, they have a nice house, and they generally do stuff in life that are above survival, right? Go to movies and, well, before COVID. You know what I mean? And then, so we have the survival people, we have the sustainable people who sustain their life at a certain level. And then, of course, we have the third group of people. I don't like to stereotype. So the third way of being an individual is how I look at it. The third way of being an individual, if you don't want to be just surviving or just sustaining your life, the third way to be, of course, is to scale. To constantly scale. So you're moving forward and you're moving upward. Forward and upward. This is how life is. The curve goes like this. It goes like this. Constantly it goes like this. And at some point, of course, you would plateau because we're mortal beings. But if it keeps going like this, the next generation takes over, right? And it keeps, the generations keep advancing. And so one generation builds on top of the next generation, and the next generation builds on top of that generation, and we see growth, we see things happening. And so today I want to talk to you about having this conversation that we're having every single day around the idea of the individual being empowered, the empowerment of the individual. That's what our concern is. Our concern is how do we empower ourselves as individuals, not in mass society. Given the context of mass society, we're cognizant of that, but more importantly, how do I and you, as an individual person, empower ourselves? And the starting point for that is that we must believe that we can improve ourselves, we must believe that we can develop and self-develop, and we must believe that we can do more than survive, and we can do more than sustaining our life. We can scale. So this idea came from, of course, a book, because that's what I do, right? I promised you guys that I'm going to read the big books and glean knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from those books and bring it to you every day in this live streaming show. And so there's a book I want to talk about the topic that we're dealing with right now. And this book is Scale by Geoffrey West. Scale by Geoffrey West is a book that talks about the universal laws of growth, innovation, sustainability, and the pace of life in organisms, cities, economies, and companies. Of course, individuals. So the universal laws of growth, innovation, sustainability, and the pace of life in organisms, including us, we're organisms, cities, economies, and companies. And this book is astonishing. You read this book, you go through it, you not browse, you got to really sink your teeth into it. It's a hard read. It's not kindergarten stuff. But we're doing the hard work. We in the company are doing, we're getting into the research, we're getting into delving into the knowledge out here to see what are the tools, technologies, and teachings that would empower us as individuals to live the kind of life where we are experiencing growth in our life. Now, if you're such a person that you want to grow, you feel this origin, not everybody has it. Not everybody is born with it. A lot of people are born with a lot of people just exist, and for whatever reason they're happy. They may be happy like that, and I'm happy for them. If you're happy, that's fine. We believe in choice. You as an individual, you have a choice. But we're talking to a group of people, whether minority or majority, who want to grow, who want to self-develop, who believe that they don't want to just survive. They don't just want to sustain a life or an existence. Really, it's not a life; it's an existence. But they want to. The curve of their life should be going up. There should be growth, there should be development, there should be fruitfulness. That's the kind of people we're talking to, and we hope to come alongside us and help build this community into a global society that changes how humanity lives, changes what it means to be a human being, transforms what it means to be a human being. And we're setting out to do this thing. Yes, it's a big dream. Yes, it's in many ways absolutely crazy to even think that we could achieve something like this, like make a change in the world using the platform of the internet and our technology, which is Simspo, which we'll get into next week. I want us today to focus. I want to leave with you this seed of an idea that the first thing we need to do, the starting point, the seed that is planted in the ground, in our minds, in our being, in our heart, if we want to live as our potential, we want to live our potential as human beings, and as human beings that have a in religion we know this. I think in the Bible it says that below the gods we're here. Right? In Greek and Roman philosophy, that's what they said. Below the gods, you have humans. We're higher than angels, they say. And so, with this astonishing potential, why would we just survive? Especially if we live in a rich country like Canada or the United States or Europe or even India, China today. Economics now is, the world is evening up as much as it's not there yet. Equality is spreading. So we want to get to the point where we edify each other, encourage each other, really enlighten each other about the life that is not just survival, not just paying bills and sustaining what we have, not just keeping the car running and maintaining the house and changing the roof when it needs to change and paying taxes when we need to pay taxes. But we want to be like the few human beings on the face of the earth, the Olympic athletes, champions, the billionaires and millionaires, the priests and those who work in the charity sector. We want to be like these people, the authors of books, the intellectuals and the professors. Those are, when you count up those people in the grand scheme of humanity, there are very, very few people who achieve excellence. There are very, very few human beings who actually see their life going like this, growing, scaling, going up, who live what this guy is talking about in his book, Jeffrey West. We want to be people who are scaling. This word scale, you're going to hear me use it a lot because it's come to mean so much because of this book. Scaling, scaling, scaling. Every company. Companies cannot survive unless they scale. Countries cannot survive unless they scale. This is why they have GDP. GDP is the growth of the economy, which is not necessarily a good measure of human society, but they're going to get rid of that eventually. But for now, GDP or GNP, it measures the growth of society, and year after year GDP has to go up. It can't stay stagnant or it can decrease, then you have what they call depression and recession and all those things. So if countries have to scale, if companies have to scale, if organizations have to scale, budget for the United Nations, budget for any organization, budget for a ministry in the government, budget for a charity, budget for a company. It cannot remain the same or decline. It has to keep improving and going up every single year. There must be improvement. There must be growth. There must be some kind of scaling that is going on. Scale up. And so we want to apply this concept and this principle to the individual, which Jeffrey West touched on in his book. How do we scale? But the first question we have to ask is, do we even want to scale? Do we even want to grow? Do we even want and believe that we can innovate and become, well, I don't want to say become better than we are now, but to improve? How do we want, do we want to improve? Do we want to develop? That's a question we have to ask ourselves. Only you and your heart can answer that question. Nobody can answer that question. You're not a professor in university, not your parents, not your grandparents, not your children, not your friends, not your business associates, not your boss, not your co-workers. Nobody can answer that question for you. Not us who are trying to mentor and coach the world at our age. We want to give back as much as we can, as much as we're still learning. We're still absorbing from the older people in us, right? And even young people. I learned a lot from young people actually. So we have to answer this question in our own heart. Do I want to scale my life? Do I want to see the curve keep going up? Or do I want to stay stagnant or constant like this? So we either stagnate or we scale. If we are sustaining our life, in my view, we're stagnating. Do you want to stagnate or do you want to scale? Or do you want to be down here just surviving? And being born as a human being and then survive for as many years as one could live before dying, because we're mortal beings and we're moving every second as time ticks on the clock. We're moving to our grave. This is a fact of life. We're getting older by the second. We're moving closer and closer to our grave by the second. One day, this entire generation on the face of the earth will die out. Right? So we want to take these things into consideration, not because we want to live a life that is intense. Far from it. We want to live a life that is joyful and peaceful and fun, but with sense, of course. And the important question that we must ask ourselves is, what kind of life do I want? Where do I see myself moving into as a human being, as a life form? Do I see myself moving back in time? Do I see myself running on the spot, moving in the present and staying in the present? A lot of people say to me, I'm living in the moment, I'm living in the present. It sounds good, sounds amazing. It doesn't work. Because you can stay in the present, but the future is rushing to us. The future is advancing toward us so fast. And we have to be, what I'm saying, what we're talking about here is the future, and what kind of persons do we be to deal with that future that is rushing towards us, that is coming towards us whether we like it or not. It's inevitable. The future is rushing towards mankind, like 2021. I mean, in the year 2000, people were thinking of 2021 as like it's never arrived. It's so far away. Look where we are. Just now it's going to be 2025, and then 2030, and before you know it, 2050 is here. And back in before 2000, in the year 1990s, 1980s, people were thinking year 2000 is so far away. It's the tendency of the human being to live in the present and not, consider the fact that the future is coming very, very fast. So we want to be futuristic people. One of the things we do here is futurism, or we look into the future, we study the future, we kind of analyze from data, like this guy does. He does the same thing. What is possibly coming in the future and prepare for it. The only way we could deal with the future as individuals in this day and age is if we move our heart, our mind, our soul, our being, we move ourselves by sheer will to want to improve, to want to self-develop, to want to grow, to want to scale, to innovate, and go and keep going up. Let the curve of our lives go up. The statistics curves, right? You know what I'm talking about. You don't want the chord to be flat. You don't want it to be going down. You want it to be going up. And so that's what we're offering in this endeavor that we have, which is, okay, let me see what message I get in case somebody's saying we should. Background music is not good. Wow, that's not good. Let me see if I can fix that. Some people don't like the background music. I kind of like. Let me turn it down a little bit. I like background music. We have this technology. On a side note, we have this technology. Thanks, Shandine. I appreciate it. We have this background. We have a technology, SimsBook, which is Simple Multimedia Smart Book, which is innovating on ebooks, which is the technology that we're working on to make books simple, smart, and sexy and fun, right? As people watch movies and listen to music, they should read books. And in technology, in the age of technology, that's what we're setting out to do in the technology part of our company. And in these Sims books, one of the things that I'm doing, one of the features that we have is background music. So you're reading a book and there's background music, like in movies, which sets the mood and stuff for the book. So I thought, in the live streaming, let me put in music, because music is beauty. Music is, as Shakespeare said, food to the soul, right? Music is food to the soul, and so I like background music, but not everybody does. But anyway, on a side note, look out for our Sims book. It's quite interesting. It has a lot of interesting features, multimedia, interactive, but simple and yet smart. Because here's the thing, on a side note again, books are the most intelligent device that man has developed. When they developed writing and on Sumerian tablets back in the day, and then eventually parchment and all those, as writing and printing evolved into the printing press, which Johannes Gutenberg invented in Germany back in 1450 or something like that. We saw books became the foundation of civilization because we could store everything in books. And printing became the technology. Only now printing is being affected. It's so sad because printing gave humanity civilization. We came out of the dark age because of print, because people could print books and thoughts of great thinkers like the poets and the philosophers and of course religion, and distribute it to ordinary members of society. And then the education system started teaching people to read. Humanity is so amazing when you look at life and all, being a man of literature and of course journalism, when I interview people, but also when I read and research, like this book. I mean, reading this book is mind-blowing. It really is mind-blowing. You develop a joy for life. You develop a kind of excitement. You wake up in the morning and you're excited, and it's not about anymore about just going out there and acquire things and building material wealth. It's more than that. It's really and truly the question is, what is possible for me as a human being? That question bubbles up, and I firmly believe, and that's something you guys would share with me eventually, I'm sure, that books are the foundation of humanity. And the problem is, one of the sad things for me is that books did not take off in the technology age. Nobody reads books. I mean, I know a few people who read, and they're beautiful people, but most people, the average person, doesn't read a book because it's not good. It's not simple. It's not smart. It's not sexy. The highest form of human knowledge, encased in books, humanity is not interested in anymore. The common average man, not interested in the highest form of human knowledge. And you can't blame the people. You can't blame those who don't read. It's because books are not user-friendly in the technology, in the digital age, and we're trying to change that. We want to make the difference. It's a huge goal. We most likely would fail. 90% we would fail, but there's a 10% chance we would succeed, and everybody in the world would start to enjoy books the way they do movies on Netflix or Amazon Prime, and the way they listen to music. But my point is, books were invented, e-books were invented. The first thing the internet invented, actually, was e-books back in 1971, when a guy named Michael Hart decided he's going to digitize books from libraries and made electronic versions of these books. And so he set up in 1971, Michael Hart He's a hero, but nobody nobody knows about him. Nobody celebrates him. There's no Michael Hart today, but yet he took books and made it into technology, e-books, and he invented something called a Gutenberg project, which he named after the inventor of the printing press, Johannes Gutenberg. And the goal of his project, the Gutenberg project, was to digitize 50,000 books. 50,000 books and put it on the internet as electronic books for free. That is freely available. These books are freely available to every one of us to read online. Of course, he never achieved that project. He died before that project was finished. In fact, it only finished last year that they got 50,000 ebooks online in the Gutenberg project through help from Google and Amazon and those places. Now we have 50,000. We have like 80,000 ebooks online that are totally free and digitized from libraries and bookstores and archives around the world. Archives.org also has a lot of 30 or 20,000 ebooks available. So my point is, all these ebooks are there and nobody's reading them because what are they? Scanned pages in PDF. It's very boring, it's very flat, it's very one-dimensional, it's black and white, it's the digital age. Books can't compete with music and movies. But anyway, I went on that segue, that sidewalk, because that whole dark alley of books and my love for books and knowledge and the highest form of human knowledge are not being embraced today in this day and age, in this generation. But as the knowledge age comes into being, as this industrial age comes to an end, which will happen within the next 10, 15 years, then we would see knowledge spike. We're going to see a great love for reading. And we hope to be a part of that with our technology, SimsBook, and which is a technology that we're developing at the Quadruped Life Corporation. And of course, this live streaming show will be talking a lot about that, because that's the vehicle that we're using to design our future. That's the vehicle we're using to create and invent ourselves into human beings living our potential. And that's the Sims books and knowledge and stories. That's what we're using to augment, to develop the intelligence that we use in living in the digital age. It's all content, right? Multimedia, interactive, and with a number of features. But anyway, so much for that. Today we're building a conversation day by day, brick by brick, brick by brick. We're building a conversation into this building, which is, how should I say? What do you build with conversations? You build a semantic space, but I should break that. I should simplify that. You build a conversation that is pervasive, that people come to be having that conversation instead of, just we talk about something and everybody forgets it. We build it brick by brick by brick every single day so that it becomes our presupposition, it becomes our subconscious. We walk around thinking knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Who am I as a human being? What is possible for me as a human being? How am I writing and designing my future? How am I an authority of my life? How am I inventing and creating myself in this way that the curve goes up, that I'm scaling, that I'm growing, that I keep developing? And how do I intelligently live in the digital age? So I want these things to become our paradigm, when we walk around in life and walk on the street, we're with family, we're with friends, we're with ourselves. These are the things that we focus on in terms of, not intensely, but in a nice way, in a way that is inspiring and motivating to the people around us, right? That's what we want. And we are hoping that in this live streaming show, and hopefully the other guys will join me, Shiroz and Shundeen, remember, you gotta join me on this thing, and let's get this message across. And other people, we would have our guests and stuff. We really want you to sink your teeth into this. So today's show is simply, today's Friday, it's coming on to the weekend, and today's show I'm simply saying that we should ask ourselves the questions, and we would never say here, this is what you have to do, or this is what we believe that this is the best way of life. No, we're not saying that. We believe in one thing: the choice of the individual. You have a choice. If you want to destroy, there's a law, where is it? China. China came out with a law that says, if you're a bad person, we're going to punish you. Well, every society has that, but I mean bad person in terms of swearing, in terms of spitting on the street, and you have no choice as an individual, even to be a little bit dysfunctional. China is moving their society into that sanitized cleaning up of the social space, and what that does is it sounds good, right? And it might become a global thing, who knows, system, but at the end of the day, what it does, it takes away the choice of the individual. We want the individual to always have choice. You're with us, always you choose. I say to everybody around me, you have a choice, you're an individual, you choose what you want. Nobody's gonna mandate anything here. It's totally by individual choice. And so we're asking today for you to choose and question in your own heart, what level of existence do you want? Do you want to be barely surviving? Do you want to just sustain your life? Or do you want to be scaling? Or do you want to stagnate? And these things happen within our heart, within our mind, within our being. It's not something you could go to a grocery store and pick up. Or it's not something you could go and tell a manufacturer, make it for me, and they would make it. These are things we deal with ourselves. When we face ourselves, when we look in the mirror and we look into our soul and we say, what is there? Is there darkness or is there light? Is there life or is there destruction and death? Is there dysfunction or is there redemption and healing and moving forward? Improving, scaling, growing, developing, bearing fruit, instead of being stagnant like trees that don't bear any fruit. After a while, you don't want those trees around. You want fruit-bearing trees. I mean, we live in a world that they put lawn everywhere instead of gardens, and trees that don't bear fruit on street corners. We should have all our street corners globally should be fruit trees instead of trees for decoration, right? That's how silly man became. In the industrial age, we industrialized everything. Everything had to be commodity. They commoditized every single thing, including food. So if they put fruit trees on the street and in public, we pass, you pick an apple, you pick grapes or whatever, of course the food industry would most likely die because people wouldn't go to the grocery store to buy. So they industrialized food system, and they took away public gardens, and they took away kitchen gardens, and they took in industrialized societies. I'm talking about like Canada, Europe, America, and those places. But even now, third world countries are doing the same thing. They're sanitizing the public space and putting everything in a payment wall, right? You got to pay for everything. And you know, the industrial society, that's what it became. But I won't rant about that more. It rankles me. But we need to individually, because we're not here to go out and cause social engineering. We're not here to say to the government, this is what we believe society should be, and we're going to campaign for it, and we're going to have a charity, and we're going to have a political party. No, we're not getting into that. We're dealing with individual to individual. We live in a day and age in this 24th century where we believe you are empowered. I am empowered. Now here's the thing. We are so empowered, and we don't know it yet, but one day we will get it. One day everybody in the world will get how powerful we are. And guess what would happen? The people behind the scenes, the people behind the scenes will eventually put in such a huge surveillance system in the world that they would have to curb the individual power that we're developing. But we're not there yet. For now, we can be empowered. We can take life seriously. We can, when I say seriously, I mean we can believe that we can grow and develop and a message came in. Let me see if there's okay, yeah. Things seem good. Thank you guys. So today that's what I wanted to zone in on. Do we want to be survival at the survival level? Do we want to be sustaining, a certain level of life, or do we want to be scaling? And if the few of us who choose to live a life of scaling, of growing, of development, of improving, of the curve of our lives going up and passing on to the next generation, and they keep going up. Like some families on the earth, like the Rockefellers, the Habsburgs, the royal family of Britain, and many families, they pass on. One generation would go here to this height, and the next generation that height, and the next, and they keep developing generation after generation after generation. But more families than not do not do that. More families than not, one generation either stagnates or they drop. We want to be conscious of, you see, life is about being conscious. It's about being aware. It's about awoke. Not awoke in terms of how the liberals talk about it, but being awoken, an awakeness, a consciousness, a kind of intentionality in how we live. That's what life is all about. Life is, you gotta do things with intention. You can't wake up in the day and just breeze through the day. We can't wake up in the morning and just jump in the car and go where we have to go. We have to intentionally, when I wake up in the morning, and I'm not saying I'm special or better than anybody, not at all. It's a blessing. I'm blessed to be this way. But I would pick up a book and read it, and I would, go into meditation, and I would search the Bible, which I believe is the textbook of life. And I would not leave home to come to the office and the studio unless I pour some substance into me, which I call the quadruped life. The quadruped life is a system that we have, which I hope to share with people who come on board with us, people of the like mind, people of the mindset of growth, of scaling, that we can all live the quadruped life. We can live the quadruped life, which is a certain lifestyle for growth and development. And we become, so what we want to do is not take the elites. We don't want to deal with the elites and the people who are already out there, like Serena Williams and all those people who are champions. We don't even have access to them. But just to say, we're not aiming at those people. Our goal is to take you and I, ordinary people, simple people, and show that we can achieve what those champions, the Olympic champions, the sporting champions, the professors in universities, the human beings who achieve excellence, the economically wealthy and all those people, we can, each of us, this is my conviction, and this is why we're doing what we're doing, because we believe that every human being has equal potential. We believe that every human being, you and I and everybody else, can be, if we practice enough, thousands of people could be like, maybe millions could be like Serena Williams, good at tennis, if you practice enough, if you put your heart in the game like she did. So it's not that we don't believe in talent. We believe in talent, and we believe in special gifting, of course. But for example, writing. Everybody is a writer, and I'll talk about that one day on the show. Everybody is a musician. All it takes is practice. You gotta practice long enough, 10,000 hours according to Malcolm Gladwell, and you become an expert at something. So my point is, every human being is equal. We in our potential. God created everybody equal. Whether we believe in creation or evolution, I'm saying that I believe in a creator, and the creator created every creature of the creation. You see that? The root word create is there. Equal, with equal opportunity. But we don't see it, we don't live it, we don't believe it. But I'm saying that is so, and we are willing to step out with that belief, with that philosophy that we're all equal. No matter disability, mental state, messed up past, messed up childhood, whatever it is, we can clean the slate. We can wipe the paper clean. We can erase everything on that sheet of paper, and we can write a new life. We can write a new plan. We can write a new journey. We can write a new future. And that's what we're here for. We're here to walk you through that journey, because we've done it. We've studied it. We've developed a system. We run 4 different companies doing 4 different things. We are not rich and lavish by any means. All of these are in development stages, and of course COVID, you got to battle with things as they unfold, right? What is so, the world as it is, we got to deal with that. There's no going around it. But you deal with it, because that's the power of being a human being. You solve problems, right? You solve issues, you solve challenges, you overcome obstacles, and you move up the mountain. Our show, what we're doing here, the aim of it is to you if you want to get on top of the mountain. If you want to scale up and go to the summit of your life, then you're with us. And so every day we will have a conversation with you. And these videos, of course, I keep saying it over and over, would be on YouTube and Facebook. Our Facebook page is Future Stars Media Enterprise. Our audience now is low because we're now starting as one, but also this message has to resonate with enough people to build an audience. And the audience that we build, we don't want people who are playing small. We want people who are playing big. All the world's a stage and we put players in it. We want the stars on the stage. Future stars. We want future stars. We want to make future stars. Not only performers, but how we live the life, right? This life that we live. Let's be stars in the life that we live. Let's be stars on the earth. Let's say there are aliens existing. Let's assume that aliens exist and they're out there in space. When they look upon the earth, our life should be a star on the earth. Should be a lighthouse that they look and they see. Just when we look to the heavens and we see stars, when the aliens, let's suppose they exist, run with me here, when they look upon the earth, they should see human hearts as little stars on the earth, just like we see stars in the galaxies. It's a metaphor, but I'm making a point. I'm making a point that we're not beings of darkness. We're not beings of self-destruction and dysfunction, as many of the pop culture people are. We are people who are special, and those are the people I'm talking to. I'm talking to you if you want to grow, if you want to self-develop, if you want to see your life achieve a level of humanity that rivals and equals the Mandelas and the Mother Teresa's and stuff. So yes, we're talking about greatness. One day I'll talk about Harold Bloom and his book, which is called Genius, and how he talked about 100 most original creators of the human race. And a fascinating book. And so this is where all these ideas are coming from reading and developing concepts in my mind about what it means to be a human being. How can I design the kind of future that is, like the champions of the earth, like people who live in excellence, move beyond mediocrity, move beyond just surviving, move beyond just sustaining my life, move into a place where I'm improving, I'm scaling, I'm growing, right? And growing. So I hope today, I imparted something to you, some kind of enlightenment. I hope I get feedback from some of you that would enlighten me and improve my own ideas and my own thinking and my own life. But this has been, for this week, it's been such joy doing this live streaming. It's not easy for me. I'm a very introverted person. I prefer to be reading a book or writing. But I'm glad I'm doing it. And of course, the aim is one day our company would evolve this media department into a 24/7 live streaming show on the global internet, and that's where we're heading. So there's a big goal at the back of it. But I'll see you on Monday. Enjoy the weekend. Have fun, innocent fun. Read a book. Find a book and read it, whatever book it is. I remember when I was a child growing up. I think before high school, I started reading. I should mention this before I go, because I'm so happy that I had that kind of a childhood. I was such an introvert. I was a nerd. Well, I don't want to say I was a nerd. I wasn't bright at all. I wasn't intelligent. I was like zoned out and lacking of consciousness. I was totally clueless, right? I was so naive. I didn't know anything about life. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. But what I was doing was reading. I read the entire Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew. I don't know if you know those books. And I read all of Louis L'Amour books on Western America, how America, the people in the West used to live, and I still love Western movies because of it, and country music. I read Famous Five and Alfred Hitchcock and Agatha Christie, the whole series, all these things I read. And then got into deeper books by the time I was 15, 16, I'm reading Leo Tolstoy. I love his book Resurrection. I'm reading all these deep books, and then I delved into the Bible because of church and all that, and really got a grounding into stories, into books, into narratives. You see, here's the thing. We are a walking book. I'm a walking book. I'm a walking narrative. You too, you're a walking narrative story that is so dramatic. Every life is so dramatic. It's incredibly dramatic how each of our life is. You might think you're boring. You might think, oh, my life is nothing happened. Or you might think, oh, these things happened to me. I got a book in me. We did a survey once in Toronto about 15 years ago. No, actually, 10, 12 years ago. And the question that we asked, we had a professor from university, Ryerson University, helping us with some surveys, and we went out on the street and we asked two questions. One is, do you think in your lifetime you want to write and publish a book? 98% of people said yes. The two people who we interviewed 100 people. The two people who said no didn't have self-esteem. They felt, who's going to want to hear about my life? Nobody's interested. But 98% of them said, yes, my life is so dramatic. It's so interesting. So many things happen to me that I believe I have a book or a movie in me, right? And then we asked the second question, which is, do you think in your lifetime you would have a book published, written and published? And 98% said no. They don't see it happening. Of course, some people have good self-esteem and stuff, and they said, yes, we could see that happening, but we don't have the tools, we don't know how to go about writing it, we don't know the publishing process and all those things. That was part of the process of setting up our company way back then. And so everybody has a book in them, or a poem in them, or a song in them, or a movie, or a script, or something. You have it in you, and it's a dramatic story, and it's the narrative of your life. And it's a beautiful thing. Whatever you went through, no matter how horrible it was, there are people who went through World War II and came out writing movies and scripts and their documentaries and them and all those things. So my point is, as human beings, we're fascinating creatures. We really are. And we can inspire each other. We can motivate each other by telling each other our stories, sharing from the heart what is our being. What makes our being is our story. And we can share it. We'll deal with all these things as we go on. I enjoy doing this show. I enjoy talking to you. And I hope you talk back to me at some point. I want you to talk back to me. I don't want to be talking to myself. So I'll see you next Monday. Have a good weekend. Enjoy tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. And hopefully you would meditate on some of the things that we said. If you missed the previous videos, go on our YouTube channel, Future Star. Well, Sean Michael Sandro, I guess my name there. Just Google it on YouTube, and you're gonna see our channel. I really should put the link there. And also on Facebook, of course, Future Stars Media Enterprise would be our Facebook page where all the videos are listed. Go through them if you missed any this week. And I don't want to say we have important things to say, but I believe you would be blessed if you were to listen to the videos of this week, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and today, 4 days. Okay, thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend and see you on